Good afternoon, Harlem and Harlems of the world. I am Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. As many of you know, Harlem Network News is a new media platform. We started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. Our work is what I call an essential service. Initially, when we started, folks were walking around Harlem saying, "I'm Black, I can't get it." And that's when we decided, my partner, Brother Bernardo Ruby, had been encouraging me to do a news service for a long time. But when COVID happened, we had to jump in the deep water. It's really important that all our stories are covered in our community, and often major media does not do that. So we're 3 years in. We've been doing great work and bringing lots of news and information to the community. Knowledge is power, and Harlem Network News is the voice and drumbeat of Harlem and Harlems of the world. Today, we are very, very honored to have with us one of our iconic living heroes, and that is in the person of Brother Jose Ferrer. And many of you may know that name, you may know that voice, you may know that family. Sister Aisha Ferrer and Brother Ferrer are part of our community leadership. Brother Ferrer and Sister Aisha Ferrer and the family really headed up the Kwanzaa Fest for many, many years and made a difference in all of our lives. So Brother Ferrer, if you would just say hello to our audience and let us know who you are and whose you are and where your journey began.
Well, good afternoon, Harlem. I want to commend Sister Terri and Brother Ruby for coming up with this concept, which was very much needed. I am very, very honored that they have made me a feature of this network. And I hope that whatever interview we are now going to be having will be informative, that it would wind up giving people some understanding that may not have had any, and for me to be able to come to you in a way that I have not been able to come to you in the past. I have been involved with Kwanzaa Fest at the Jacob Javits Center for 12 years. Unfortunately or fortunately, in the last 3 years, I have had to almost cease the operation because of health issues that I am dealing with. However, I have a lot of faith that those health issues will be eliminated, and we might be able to get back to doing what we love to do so far.
Okay. Well, thank you very, very much. And where you being here is very significant, and it's extremely important. I think it's interesting when you say that you're coming to people in a way that they have not been able to see you before. And right. I will say that COVID really taught us a lot. It was an issue that we couldn't really meet in person. And all of us, actually, myself included, got our PhD in technology, on the fly because we had to. And it became a way that we could communicate. And it was not good not being able to connect in person like we do. However, the fact that we can connect this way makes it so that people all over the world can see and hear us at the same time. Harlem Network News premieres every Sunday at 4:00. We do specials, but it's on our YouTube channel. So even if you miss the premiere, you can go back and you can see what is going on and hear what is going on. And I think it's very important that you're here, Brother Ferrer, because there are young people who really were babies or maybe not even alive when the Kwanzaa Fest started. So this is something that people need to know, and it's a part of our legacy and it's a part of our history. Can you share a bit briefly about what Kwanzaa is and why and how you and your family got involved with the Kwanzaa Fest and ended up having it at such a major New York venue as the Jacob Javits Center? Thank you.
I would love to. It was a real challenge, and certainly one that I wanted to share with people who may not know the origin of what motivated us to take on such a challenging challenge, and also to, there's a lot of disinformation about things in our community, and unfortunately, many times, people who are the subject of these speculation don't get a chance to respond to it and to correct whatever falsehood might have going around. I've always been a cultural nationalist. Okay, I am of Puerto Rican descent, and I also practice the religion of Islam.
Okay,
and so excuse me.
I said thank you and salam alaikum.
Right. So what happened basically is that I grew up being very cultural conscious. Okay, and so when I began to be exposed to Dr. Maulana and his version of Kwanzaa, I became very intrigued by it. And so when I began to start doing my fact checking, okay, on what Kwanzaa really is or Kwanzaa is not, I began to then appreciate the fact that because of the very same thing that you're talking about, Dr. Kwarenga did not have a chance to get the exposure that he deserved, okay, and that Kwanzaa deserved. So given the fact that I've always been very curious about what is and what if, I became very curious about what the potential of Kwanzaa could be. When I first got exposed to Kwanzaa, most of our, if not all, of our celebrations were taking place in places where, to me, did not fit did not fit what Kwanzaa was really all about. And you could not basically make a presentation that would impress the public and also give them an opportunity to be able to say, oh, this is what Kwanzaa really is, because there was all kinds of interpretation of what Kwanzaa really is, most of which were not, okay? So I was able to be blessed enough to be in the position to say, I can do something about that, And so I've always thought big, and there was never no limit to how far my imagination could go. So I began to start saying, hey, what if? What if we had a different venue? What if we was able to make a different and a better presentation to the people, and a much more informative presentation to people? And so I got the opportunity. As you know, we started at Manhattan Community College, in 1992, I believe it was. That went very well, but the question basically was, when you got to the expo, was it something that was going to blow your mind, and have you happy that you attended, and leave you with an inspirational attitude about adopting, Kwanzaa as one of your cultural holidays? And so after having been successful at Manhattan Community College, I wasn't going to stop there. Okay. So as I began to go in, as I call it, into the laboratory, myself and Brother Dillard, who unfortunately has passed away. And we had a nice group of people who were committed to my vision. And so therefore, I was able to think big, okay, and think without any limits. And we was able to go. I had never done anything at the Jacob Javits Center, and I think most people probably have not. And so I just said, well, it's a sink or swim situation. So let me try and see whether I can swim in sharp waters. And we began. And fortunately, I had a boss who really trusted me and my judgment. Okay, and he gave me the support that I needed to be able to go into Jacob Javits and survive. Okay, and we were blessed enough to be there for 12 years. Okay, despite all of the rumors that you can hear about the Jacob Javits and the unions and whatnot, and it is all true. But we was able to get around all of that because we had kind of been in training, just with the challenges that we were faced with every day. So as a result of that, I was able to kind of get into the Jacob Javits Center, for the first time. And, it was challenging because we had no idea as to what to expect. And, we got hit with a lot of costs that we had not anticipated, nor was we prepared to do. But the people, the community at large, supported me to such a degree that it allowed us and the team to be able to get over some of those obstacles that would have prevented us from even having a Kwanzaa at the Javits.
Right.
So as we began to start getting our feet wet at the Javits Center and kind of knowing what to expect and developing a relationship with people who respected what I was trying to do and were very, very supportive. So therefore, we had the first one at the Javits, and we learned about what we didn't know. And so as a result of that, every year we was able to do some fine tuning, okay, of the operation so that we would not be as stressed out as we would have been otherwise. And and we got a lot of good support, not only from Brother Maulana, but we got a lot of support from other culturally conscious individuals in the city. Fortunately, I have been identified with activities that were very constructive, very positive, and people really appreciated the fact that I was ready to take that big step, and they supported me, and by their support allowed me to be there for 12 years, and we probably would have been there longer if it wasn't for 9/11, because when 9/11 came, most of the bodies that they wind up getting from the crash and what have you were deposited at the Jacob Javits Center.
Wow. So thank you for sharing that, Brother Ferrer, because that's one of the things that I love. I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And I'm here with Brother Jose Ferrer, who really is the founder of the Kwanzaa Fest, he and his family, that took place for 12 years here in New York City. But I love learning. I'm a lifetime learner. And just the fact that you shared that when 9/11 took place, and there's a lot of people that were not even born at that time, that was something that changed the face of New York forever. That was war on our shores.
Absolutely.
And you sharing that impacted our Kwanzaa Fest, it shows the connection. One of the things that I would love for you to share about Kwanzaa, because it was a family event, right. And it was something that your whole family got involved in. And if you can understand, and I understand what you're saying in terms of the magnitude, this was our paving our own way. This was our holiday, which Dr. Maulana Karenga is the creator of. And Dr. Karenga has, as you know, been on Harlem Network News several times. And I always feel like, this is a holiday, a Black American holiday that was created here that It's celebrated all over the world. But the fact that the person who, really started it, initiated it, is still alive, so that to me is a key factor. But the great thing is when you said that it had to be like something that was attractive, that, brought in. And this was a time when whole families came, even teenagers came. People look forward to it. And in that cultural time period, we had a lot of that. We still have some of it, but that was how it was. We had, teenagers look forward to the Kwanzaa Fest every year, going to Javits, buying their gifts, hanging out with their friends, seeing the shows. Another thing they look forward to was what's now called the International African Arts Festival. That was something that's happening, in July. In fact, they are actually having their initial libation tomorrow, right there in not tomorrow, Saturday. So there are things that have continued. African, the dance festival at BAM. These were things that people as families came to, and even teenagers came to. We had our mart at 125. We had the Sisters Festival, WBLS. So there are these things, and you were part of that great history that we had. And I believe that we have to get back to that, where our youth is engaged in our history and we are driving that train. So, Brother Ferrer, if you could just please share a bit about your beginnings, because you didn't just wake up and do this, and you had the confidence and the breath to know you could do it. You spoke about, your Puerto Rican heritage. Where did you grow up? How did all that come to play in terms of your African roots?
Right. Well, even though I came to New York in 1949, I always lived in a predominantly Black neighborhood. Okay, so therefore, it wasn't difficult for me to be able to get exposed to the culture. Okay, and it wasn't at the expense of the Puerto Rican culture, because there's a link between those two cultures as well. So it was not a conflict, even though some people may disagree. However, what I started as a pioneer in dealing with the substance abuse situation, okay, which had been rampant in our communities throughout the country.
Yes,
and
yes.
I lost my younger brother to drugs, and for some reason or other, that wound up inspiring me to do something about it, because it was at a point that you could almost give up by saying, "Hey, this is very overwhelming." And I saw that we were losing a lot of our young people, as well as some of our older people, all right, who wind up becoming casualties of that whole pandemic. So as a result, when I lost my brother, and it was indirectly due to his uses of drugs, okay, which was something foreign to me at the time, but it was a big loss, because he was my only and my youngest brother, okay.
Wow.
And I just decided, well, this is very, very challenging, but I don't know whether I would be able to organize people to deal with it, all right, just based on the concept. So what I did basically was I was a co-founder of a program on 145th Street called, okay, Operation Helping Hand. And then it changed.
Thank you for that.
When the management changed, because I left to go to the New York Urban Coalition. When I did that, Brother Abu Karim Shabazz took over, and he renamed it to Face Piggyback. And Face Piggyback lasted over 42 years, okay? And we really, really made an impact in our community, and we was able to take credit for having saved a lot of lives, Okay, so once we got there, and it came time for me to exit, Brother Arthur Bonds, who was at the time the president of the New York Urban Coalition, had been hearing about me and knew about me and invited me to come and join him because he had just been selected to be the CEO of the New York Urban Coalition.
Okay.
And so, that really became, okay, the open door, because he embraced everything that I came to him with, many of them which he didn't even have an understanding. But one of the things that he said to me in one of our conversations around this issue was, brother, I don't even understand nothing that you have been saying to me because I'm from another era. However, you know, my trust in you and my trust in you knowing what you're doing, okay, and knowing that you are a man of integrity, gave me the comfort level to support things that I didn't quite understand. However, because of the fact that he allowed me to complete the process, in particular with Kwanzaa, I was able to now convince him, you know, that Kwanzaa was a viable situation, was important, and that the Urban Coalition should have been attached to that progress and to that event. And so, you know, we started, believe it or not, at the school on 135th Street and 5th Avenue, okay, the John Russell School.
Okay.
That's where our very first Kwanzaa took place. And from there, okay, we wound up going to City College. We wound up going to Brooklyn College. So, you know, we did the city. And as we did the city, we established a relationship with each of the borough presidents, okay, who also was very supportive. And that allowed us to really take off. And as we began to deal with the BLS, you know, who were very, very, very generous with me and giving me the exposure that was required, you know, I began to attract sponsors, you know, who knew that there would be no cigarettes, no liquor, you know, and none of those things that would be allowed, you know, as a sponsorship. So it was Chase, who was one of my main ones, and who stayed with us, okay, throughout the duration. Okay, the launching took place there. We wind up, you know, I started going tripping, as I call it, and I says, well, we got to have a gala. You know what I mean? We got to have a gala, because without the gala, okay, you're not going to be able to attract the right people, because you know the expo itself, okay, was a retail type of situation.
Right. Yes.
People with high profile to also attend. So of course, you know, being me, I decided, well, the best way to celebrate the 25th anniversary, I believe it was, of Kwanzaa, is to have it at the United Nations, you know, and of course,
more
you know,
more history, more history.
So, you know, we wind up. There was an ambassador from Jamaica who established a relationship with me, and I went to him and got some advice from him, and he wound up helping to bring it together. And you know, going into the United Nations was not going to be something that was going to be easy, but because of his commitment to it and to me, he was able to do the maximum that he could, and he delivered on it. And we honored people like, of course, Ozzy and Ruby, who were our
Ozzy Davis and Ruby D.
Right, Ozzy Davis.
Yes.
You know, and we was able to honor different individuals that was high profile. and that allowed us to get the kind of credibility that that people really wanted. And so from that point on, we didn't have no problem. But of course, we could never have anticipated that 9/11 was going to take place. And once 9/11, took place, and most of those bodies were being kept at one of the spaces that we rented, excuse me, every year, it became very, very impossible. Right after that, I became ill, and I was not mobile, and Brother Dillard passed away. So, we got a double dua, as I call it.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
therefore, because Brother Dillard really, I was the concept person. Brother Dillard was the person who made it happen.
The
Okay.
executor.
And brought it to the level that I also would want. And I thank him because he was totally committed, not only to it, but he was committed to me. And as a result of that, we was able to rock and roll, without any problem. And we was able to handle all the challenges that came forth, because there was a period where some of our more conservative nationalist brothers, was not supportive of what we was doing, and had a whole mistaken concept of what Kwanzaa was to them. And I had to let them know that no, but this is what Kwanzaa is all about. It's not about renting a gym in a high school, and having a couple of hundred people come and some incense and what have you. So because of that, I finally got the respect. Myself and my team, as with the African Street Festival, we developed a relationship, a very, very close relationship.
Beautiful. I'll always remember Brother MZ.
Right, Brother MZ was my main man, and there was a of the other brothers. So we was on our way. We was on our way, but like we know how life is. Nobody could have anticipated, that we was going to have a 9/11. So because of the 9/11, and then shortly after that, my medical situation, we could not continue the momentum that we had established. And my family has always been involved in everything that I was doing.
Thank you, Brother Ferrer, for sharing that about the family, because that was the next thing I was really going to get to. I'm Terri Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and I am honored to be here today with the Honorable Jose Ferrer, who really, made Kwanzaa happen, put Kwanzaa on, helped put it more on the map. It very much takes a village, and because of our situation here in America and the way that many of us came, and folks coming from different places. Brother Ferrer is of Puerto Rican origins, but we know that it all came from Africa, and it went to different places in the Caribbean. So in us not knowing some of our history, it is really important, as we have created and made our own history, like a Kwanzaa, like having the International African Arts Festival, having a Dance Africa. I failed to mention having a Harlem Week with Lloyd Williams and those folks. These are the things that have been created here. These are our history, just like jazz is part of our American history experience. But you mentioned something about the family and how your family, Sister Aisha, your children, your grandchildren have always been a part of what you were doing and your team. And it really takes a village when you spoke of your team and Brother Dillard and all of those folks. So if you would just elaborate, because obviously you were the mastermind of being able to pull that together. Even, my partner, Brother Ruby, that, really has initiated Harlem Network News, was always committed to Kwanzaa. There are others that have passed on, Brother Bob Gums, we also just lost Brother Kwame, the Black is Beautiful movement. All
Brother
of
Cedric,
these
Brother
things.
Cedric
Yes,
McCusker,
yes, yes.
without
Thank
the
you.
book, all you need to
Mhm.
know about Kwanzaa. But I would be remiss, sister, if
Mhm.
I did not incorporate you and Brother Ruby, okay,
Mhm.
in my journey. Because
Okay, well, thank
whether
you.
you are aware or not, Brother Ruby and yourself began at the beginning. You just didn't come in and assume a position. Okay, you came in at the very beginning, and whatever I needed
Mhm.
from y'all, you
Mhm.
always was not only kind enough and generous enough, but your spirit always was there. And this is one of the blessings that I want to, receiving from the team. And then other people who also were very impressed, with what we were doing, also joined without any compensation, without anything. Okay, they just was committed to what I was doing and wanted to make sure that that they contributed to its success. But
Right.
don't leave you guys
Mhm.
out because
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I
you
just
know.
always remember, being at Kwanzaa at the Javits Festival and your family moving around, and you were
Mhm.
always, there were so many vendors with wonderful things that came from all even parts of the world and
Mhm.
really brought that culture, quality products. And I always remember you and Sister Aisha really dressed as, what I would call kings and queens. And we know we don't say that about Kwanzaa. There's no Kwanzaa king or no Kwanzaa king, but you all were dressed royally. And like you said, there were iconic folks like Ruby D and Ossie Davis and WBLS. So those were very important and significant times. And those were times where we were really on a forward roll.
Right.
And I'm not, as you said, it was 9/11, but there are other things that came to play to really try and unpin us.
Mhm.
But we, as we say, we are still here. And as Maya Angelou, has said, and still we rise. So I would like you, Brother Ferrer, in your infinite wisdom and your infinite strategy. I mean, you said you came to New York in 1949. And where were you born, Brother Ferrer?
I was born in Santurce, Puerto Rico. Okay, and when I came here in 1949, because of the circumstances, my parents was only able to find lodging in the Black community. So therefore, it wasn't a question of choosing, it was just a question of where destiny had us already pegged to live at. And even after we moved from 120th Street and Madison Avenue, we wind up moving to 114th Street and 8th Avenue. So
Wow,
yeah,
wow.
whenever we moved, there was no choice about us saying we want to go into this kind of a neighborhood or not. Okay.
Right, right.
Destiny had already decided where we was going to grow up, and destiny had already decided, okay, what we was going to be doing. And I have always been very intrigued with having a large family and a very close family, because the block in which I moved to had about 4 families that had 8 and 9 children. And I
Okay.
never was able to understand that because, we always looked to everybody having their own room or whatever. And I could never
Yes.
understand how anyone could have 8 or 9 children in a just an apartment. And so
Mhm.
therefore, I began to look at these individuals, and I created a myth that they was very close, that they loved each other, this and then the other. So even though it really turned out to be a myth, I took it and I made it a reality. And so I never got any kind of resistance from my wife. I never got any resistance from my children as I took them along with me to go wherever we went. And as a result of that, they got exposed to the Kwanzaa and the whole cultural piece, in a very, very natural way. And so therefore, that kind of stuck with me in terms of wanting to have a family, okay, like those that I fought, okay, in my block. So,
Right.
and
You made it happen.
That's right.
You made it happen, and that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, most of the stuff that I've always thought of, because they have already been very, very progressive and constructive, I have always been blessed to be, okay, no matter how far-fetched they may appear, I always was able to be successful, and the angels was always there with me, So
Okay.
I'm very happy, Terri, for this opportunity, because
I'm very happy for it too. It's very, very significant. And it gives us something to hold on to. And even in terms of our communities being a place where we all come together of our different African ethnicities, we all come together. A lot of people do not really know and understand that the first stop that a lot of the people coming from the Caribbean, Jamaica, Trinidad, they came to Harlem way before it was Brooklyn. Everyone gathered together in Harlem. I always remember when I was a teenager and working in an Upward Bound program at Columbia University, and I had the honor and pleasure to meet Brother Felipe Luciano of the original Last Poets. And he broke down the relationship of Blacks and Puerto Ricans, and just the fact that he would always say, within my own family there's a whole range of colors of people and culture, so these are significant things that are part of our journey, part of our history, part of coming together. I know, when I was growing up, when there was a party, there was always like Latin music, like it was other kind of music. Everybody knew, Ray Barretto, you know what I'm saying? This was a connection. And I believe that it's very important that we get back to that connection, that we get back to our roots, that we stay connected with our children. Brother Ferrer, as we wind down, and this is important, this is history, this is living history, this is people being able to, like go from the jewels, as we say, that you're dropping. But what do you see in terms of what we are dealing with today? Even the way you spoke about the drug situation, that was happening. And when you had this loss with your brother, that made you take action and, try to get going and help others. I feel the same way. I lost my son, Ali Sam Wayman Wisdom, musician extraordinaire, born in, well, not born, but grew here in Harlem, an integral part of the community, lost to gunshot, as many other people have. But I'm a member of Harlem Mothers and Fathers Save, and really just taking initiative, which is what we have to do when something tragic happens to us. We have to take initiative for that change in the community, take a bad thing and really help others and make something good out of it. And the fact that you have been creative, strategic, you weren't waiting for somebody else to start a program or whatever it was, you took it in your own hands. And like you said, you saw yourself as confident and not having any limits. And, of course, you mentioned being Muslim, spiritual, backing and base. So just share in terms of your reflection, what is happening today? Because a lot of things, as Chinua Achebe said, things fall apart. So how can we put these things back together?
Well, one of the things that we have to come to terms with is that we are living in a whole different time. Okay, people are in a whole different sphere of uncertainty. Okay, people are living in an era that there is lack of trust. Okay, and there is a lack of unity that existed back in our days that has dissipated because we have not been able to institutionalize, okay, those things. So since we did not was able to institutionalize it, what we was able to, we then, okay, was not able to keep a hold unless you had a family situation, okay? Hold on, Bunny, I got low batteries, sis.
Okay, we're winding down. We are winding down.
No, I mean, we can finish. Okay, I don't know how old the batteries are, but we can finish. And so as a result, when we have certain things that happen, we believe that that without even investigating, without even looking at what was behind the act, the first thing that we want to do is to be able to protest, okay, and to get involved in a very negative way, with whatever is happening. We don't try to say, well, was this justified? Was this something that is part of human nature? And so as a result of that, we have not been able to institutionalize what the seeds that we planted 30 years ago. Okay, so as a result of that, and we didn't water it, we didn't make sure that they got sunshine. So as a result of that, it disappeared as most things would. Okay, so it isn't anything unique about us. I think if you sat with the African Street Festival brothers, okay, and you was to ask the same question, you will probably get a combination of the answers that I just gave you. It's no magic to it. If you don't nurture it, okay, it's gonna die. And so we, despite the fact of whatever we did and how honorable it was, okay, we didn't do that. We did not take control of the politics of our community, and we didn't take control of the economics of our community. And if we don't have those two areas that we control, okay, that we can give us some direction and some counseling, then we just go on to wind up disappearing. And that's what you have. Families, even families like yours and others, okay, they don't have the kind of situation, primarily because the father and the husband who have the responsibility to be able to capture that and to continue it, have not done that. And this is something that we have to cop to. We can't blame it on anybody else. Okay,
yeah,
as you said, exactly. When I saw Kwanzaa and I saw what Kwanzaa could be, as opposed to what it had been for over 40 years, I didn't go to California to try to talk Brother Maulana and others. Okay, I just went on and did it, and felt that because it was a very constructive and progressive situation, and he's a progressive brother, that I wasn't going to have no pushback from him, which I did not have. So therefore, we did a lot, and we certainly have done a lot to be proud of. However, we did not put the money in the bank. Okay.
I hear you. We have to. This is Harlem Network News. I'm Terri Wisdom. I'm here with the honorable, iconic, wisdom-filled, no pun on word, Brother Jose Ferrer, and he is teaching, preaching, and he really lived what he taught. And I love the fact that you're saying we have to take a self-assessment. That's very important in terms of what happened, why it happened, and take it from there, not give up. Make sure that cultural and spirituality, economics, politics, all of these things have to come together. And I will say that some of what happened, and this is my opinion, was by design, in terms of what is going to happen, what can happen. There are forces that when they see that kind of success, that kind of power for our community, there are forces that will come in and try and tear it down. But like you said, the institution building, I just had the honor to attend my 50th college reunion at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, which is one of the first colleges that started. And it was very iconic. Trees were planted for those that have fallen. Lincoln has a Black woman president. Lincoln is a school that brought leaders like Nkrumah, Langston, you know what I'm saying? So a lot happened there, but there's a call to action and an ask. Just that class of 1973, which only has 200 people and has 50 people that have passed away, for that event raised $155,000. Now, if it was Harvard, it might be $1 million, $1 billion, but we've got to reinvest into our communities and build institutions. And one of the things that the president spoke about is assuring that the history of Lincoln is quantified and it remains. So it's very important that the history of Kwanzaa, and that's why I'm glad we're doing this show, is capsulized so people can know that these kinds of things are doable. I mean, we have something, and I'm mentioning this, we have a beautiful mural at Harlem Hospital that is the Liberian mural. It is in the lobby. And right now it is being challenged to be removed. It is there under the grace of Brother Ruby's family. It was on loan. There was, something where light damaged it, but it's not a reason to pull it. This is our history. It tells in 22 panels in a carving the history, Africa as it was. When the slaves, some of the slaves, enslaved people were freed, and they didn't leave voluntarily. They were forced to leave because, they were a threat. And then they went to Liberia, had to negotiate with the chiefs. And then henceforth, some years later was Liberia. This is our history. So we have to make sure that our iconic pieces remain because they represent something. So we're gonna just wrap up. Brother Ferrer, if you would just drop some jewels, as we say, drop some knowledge, and just give us a closing statement of where we are right now, what is on the hot plate for you, what direction and how you think at this point in time you're helping, and certainly coming on this show, you are helping. Thank you.
Thank you. What you basically have in my closing statement is the closing statement that I would make no matter what. It's a couple of things. You said that whatever happened was by design. And the question becomes, who was the designer, of where we are? Since I am the spiritual person, to me, the master designer of where we are as a people and where we have been and where we're going is up to the creator, And unless we have the spirituality, to understand where all creations come from, then we're going to have different opinions about it. And those opinions is going to keep us away from having a means by which we can at least say we agree. We know, that nothing happens without the creator, And therefore, what winds up happening is that since most people not necessarily are in the same wavelength, then it leaves room for other conspiracy theorists and all other people to bring in another ideology okay, because we cannot prevent them from exercising that right as well. So, you know, even though we have a very glorious past, okay, I just think that we have to, because the past was the past and what happened happened. We have to just glorify, okay, our culture. We have to glorify, you know, our heritage, and we have to be able to understand that it ain't because, you know, we was brought here as slaves that make us unique. Okay, you know, there was some other factors that got into it that made what it is what it is. So I am very grateful that we had this conversation, and I hope that the people who listen to it will be enlightened about things that they may not have known about, or, you know, things that they might have gotten misinformation about. Okay, what I have said to you is what it is, because I was the one that was doing it. Okay.
Okay.
You know, and I
Well,
got witnesses, because I got you and I got Brother Ruby, you know, and others as well. You know, so thank you very much. Okay. May Allah reward you for all that you have always tried to do.
Thank you.
And okay, also make you successful.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you. I know that that is a blessing and it's bestowed on me, and we have to take that torch and continue to speak truth to power. And we encourage everyone to support Harlem Network News as we really work hard to get the news and information out. You can find it on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and 646-261-5397, Harlem Network News at gmail.com and harlemnetworknews.com. And you can make your contributions, in-kind services. If you have, you know, information and stories, please reach out to us so we can get that information out to the people. So thank you.
All right. And you have a good Mother's Day.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Of the day.
Blessing.
And give Brother Ruby my most, what would I say? My most profound regards. Okay. And thank him and you for all that you have done. You might not have noticed it, and you may not have archived it, but you guys play a very important role, because what I needed at the time and that I got from people like you and others was cooperation, commitment, and love. Okay.
Okay.
And you can't get more than that. Okay. You know,
Absolutely. And my love and blessings to Sister Aisha, who, you know, was a true partner and warrior in this situation. Thank you. Thank you. And to
all
the
right,
whole
sis, I'm glad that it took place.
Okay.
And, and I hope that this gets some good response.
Absolutely. I know it will. Have a blessed and prosperous day, and happy Mother's Day to all.
Okay. You take care.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.